Hi, my name is Ron Ryder. I'm one of the leaders of Valley Beth Shalom, and we all look forward every year to honoring our veterans, and I'm very proud to have been a veteran myself in 1969 and 70 in the Army Medical, and served those 2 years stateside. Did not have the experience that all you gentlemen talked about today, and women, of having served overseas. But my greatest honor that I have is my father and my uncle. I'm from New Orleans, the son of German Jews who, thank goodness, that part of the family was lucky enough to get out. And my parents, strangely enough, watching the film that the Schlesingers gave us today, my parents came to the United States on the Queen Mary in April 1938. My family ended up in New Orleans, as I said, and my father helped to build the PT boats, designed and built the PT boats, and not because of my dad, but because of all of his cohorts. That's why the World War II Museum is in New Orleans today. So if any of you go to New Orleans, call the temple to get in touch with me. I would like you to be treated with honor. It is rated the second most dynamic and approved, I'm trying to look at the word, appreciated, but no, it's received award, but the second most outstanding museum in the United States, after the Met in New York. And it is really amazing to see. Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks also put a lot of energy into the museum. And my other claim to fame is my uncle, who was one of the Ritchie boys. For those of you who don't know, 60 Minutes recently did a documentary on it, and there's a book out about the Ritchie boys. The Ritchie boys were the German Jews who were sent to spy in German because they could speak German, because they could pass, and I'm very glad to say he sent hundreds of people to Nuremberg for trial, and was a true hero. So my dad and my father are heroes of a much more active duty than I was, but it certainly is an honor to have served my country and my family as well.
Well, okay, I think, anybody else? Okay. You want to say something? Oh. You want the mic?
My father was from England.
Yeah, give her the mic.
He came to the United States in 1938. My father was from England, and he came to the United States in 1938. He left his whole family in England. He met my mother, and they got married. I have a British birth certificate because my father was still a British subject when I was born. And when they went back to England after the war, we were on the maiden voyage of the Queen Elizabeth because they only brought troops back to the United States. We were the first passenger ship. And I just found all the papers in a box my dad left. And it was true. I mean, my son was just amazed when he saw all the paperwork. He had everything from the maiden ship voyage, the menus and everything. So that's kind of, my attachment to the whole thing. My dad worked in the shipyards in Brookline, Massachusetts during the war. And then they moved to California when I was a year old, and he worked in the shipyards, either Long Beach or San Pedro. So, yeah.
What's her name?
I'm Penny Korchoff, Patricia Korchoff,
How do you spell your
actually.
last name?
Hmm?
Spell your last name?
Korechoff.
Thank you.
My father's, my maiden name was Mizner, Mizner.
Okay, so I think we're going to wind down, and we'll, we have one more person that wants to speak here. Wings over. His name is Mr. Lopez.
I'm Frank Lopez with Wings Over Wendy's, and also at the air show in Camarillo.
Oh.
I've been coming to the event here with Art Sherman says, hey, come over, they're going to feed you lunch, and they'll talk about us veterans. Then one of these years he says, hey, I need a story on the Philippines. We're bringing Filipino veterans. I said, I got a story. His name was Hliachko. He studied to be a cantor in Russia before they got pushed out, and his family wound up in the United States, and he went over in World War I. Stayed with the Corps of Engineers, went to the Philippines, and built the tunnels and the forts. When war broke out, he volunteered to go to Bataan with the rest of the army. And they refer to him in the books as the rabbi of Cabanatuan, being a cantor, he'd lead prayer services and everything else. I'm like, so what does a cantor do? When I was here for that day, I spoke to the cantor and I'm like, so how many songs do you have to know? He says, well, you learn it, but it's in your heart. So I said, okay, now I can appreciate who Hliachko was. He was put on the hell ships, and when one of the ships got hit there, he was one of those who didn't survive. The rest of the crew got sent to, the rest of the prisoners in the hold made it to Japan, but he didn't make it out of there. So I said, when I came here, and thanks to his invitation, I said, at least I got to tell the story, and the next time, this year will be the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Philippines. And so I've been saying, hey Frank, you're a historian. We need the story for, the fall of the Philippines and then the liberation. So it's 80 years. So I'll put him in. And then there's other lists of other Jewish war veterans who were in the Philippines. And as a member of the air show, I'd like to invite you guys to come to the air show. I have a veterans hangar. I can make space, make tables, make arrangements for you to be there because your stories are important. And the kids now are divided. Well, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to do that. But you're here. You can make a choice because these guys made it happen for you. And that's a story we want to do there at the air show. Even though it's just 2 days, it's a chance.
When is it?
It'll be August 17 and 18, the third weekend in August. Tickets are already on the website. You can ask the folks from Wings or Wendy's. I'll send brochures, flyers here to the temple and to the Jewish war veterans. And here's a quick story. Last year, we have Wings or Wendy's has a luncheon. In the tables, somebody put the planes out. One of the, what was his name who lived over here?
Encino?
No. One of our members of Wings or Wendy's passed away. They found over 8 boxes of airplanes, which came from Howard. Howard had these there, and he was not able to pass them out. So at the luncheon, all the tables had planes. I'm holding was one of the first fighters that Israel got. And then we had the story here of the American volunteers who says, excuse me, I'm a commissioned officer, but I'm going to be gone for a while. They went over and picked up these planes in Czechoslovakia and other things like guns and whatnot, put them on decrepit C-47s, C-46s, and flew them to Israel. So these were fighting German or German-designed, built in Czechoslovakia, underpowered, not so great, and the Egyptians were flying Spitfires. So it was like the Battle of Britain again. But, the good guys were flying Richard Schmitz. So I brought this today saying, like, who's the education person here in the temple? I'd like to turn this over and say, hey, use it. It's an interesting story. And when the kids ask questions, then you can tell them the vets who went over. And again, they gave all they can. Thank you.
So anyway, hello, Earl. So